Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. Nashukuru. This is SpaceYaMagari. My name is Bobo Magari, and we are doing this today to have a conversation about people living with disability in our world. Huyo ni mtu wa Magari, and we are humbled and privileged to be joined by Julius. So one thing is, guys, remember, leo tunataka ku overtake every hashtag, every trend hapa ndani. So just tweet using the hashtag SpaceYaMagari. Let guys know where we are. Follow the speakers, follow the co-host. Let's have a conversation. So there was a bit of a technical issue. Julius may not join with his account, so he'll be here with Marianne's account. So Marianne mwenye unatafuta ni Julius. So yes, so we are here with Julius. He's here. So yes, Marianne, tukisema Marianne mjue ni Julius mwenye ako kwa space. So yes, Julius, welcome so much to the space. We are very happy and privileged to have you here today. This is SpaceYaMagari. Every Monday we do this. So karibu sana, Julius.
Thank you sana, Bob. And guys, sija change jina. I'm using another account. This is my wife's account. So I'll be here as Marianne for now. So thank you very much, guys, for inviting me and giving me a chance to share my love for cars and how I do reviews by touch and feel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you. Nashukuru sana. A big shout out to Akina Marvin. I see you, Kiweta Philip. I see Saruni. I see MPG Auto. I see you in the space. Trendy Setter, Chris Genzi, Meta Electrics. You're here. Thank you so much for making time to join this space. Museveni, Wairima. Let's just tweet, let guys know where we are. We are having a conversation with Julius. He goes by Julius. His name is Julius, and he'll be joining us using the handle that is Marianne. But yes, it's Julius, ni Julius mwenyewe, and he'll be telling us more about himself, how he's been, how it's been in his world, and how he came to just love cars for us. Ndio tumjue, so that we also know that, yes, disability is not an ability, and it doesn't mean that you can't be a lover of cars because you are not, or you're able differently. So here we are today with Julius. So I think with that said and done, is there anyone? I think tuko sawa. So Sir Kelvin, is there anything else we've left that we haven't handled at the moment?
I don't think there's anything left. I think people should just keep sharing the space. We are now 11 minutes in. I think we can start. I think we can go.
Thank you so much. So allow me, guys, I'll be having a lot of the conversation between me and Julius, or rather Julius ndio tunataka tumsikie sana. So yeah, if you have any question, remember just to use the emoji of lifting your hand so that tusikwe na mambo mingi kwa space. So just use the emoji, lift your hand, we'll have a conversation with you. It's among the emojis that you have there. So yes, lift your hand. In case you have any questions, you can tweet using the hashtag SpaceYaMagari. Sir Kelvin is there. We have Meta Electric in the house. Thank you so much for joining here, guys. Sawa sawa. So yes, Julius, karibu sana.
Asante Bob, asante sana.
Now tell us, who is Julius? Who is Julius, and what do you do in our world? Let's just give us Julius in a nutshell. As in, if today somebody meets you and tells you, who are you? Tell us, who is Julius?
Yes, thank you. So, my name is Julius Mbura, and my other name, also known as Julius Supercharge. And the name behind, and also the brand behind Julius Supercharge, is reviewing cars by touch and feel. And I do this as a passion. So I have been a car enthusiast for the longest time, and the reason why I'm in this universe, I call it blind universe, is because I've lost my sight twice now. The first time I was 10, and the second time it happened in 2019. Despite my lack of sight, I did not lose my love for cars. So before I lost my sight the first time, I was very much into cars. I used to draw when I was a sighted small kid. I used to draw cars, get inspiration from different cars walking to school. And this went with me until when I was a teenager, watching the music videos, flashy cars, sports cars. And from that, I started getting interest in how cars are designed. So when I lost my sight the first time, what crushed me was nilikuwa naona yani I'll never drive again, and that I took that to heart. But coming fast forward to campus, I started conquering my fears one by one. So nilianza kujifunza tu kuendesha gari polepole, kupark, kutoka parking, ride motorbikes. And I tell people that disability cannot be a limitation. You cannot say that because I lack this, then I cannot do this and this. You only limit yourself because the limitation is in your mind. So in campus, I was severely low vision. When I poteza macho the first time when I was 10, it started coming back again because my body started like fighting and regenerating the cells that were dead. I have a condition called maculopathy and another one that is very aggressive called retinitis pigmentosa. So it started regenerating after like a year and a half, and I started seeing bits by bits. And the reason why I decided to review cars by touch and feel is to bring a uniqueness to it, and also to show people that you can appreciate cars even if you're in another dimension. You don't have to see, because cars are very flashy. You see them, you fall in love. It's the color, the shape, the different contours. If it's a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, you look at how everything is put together. The rims, the body shape, the body lines, and all that. Interpreted this, having the low vision that I had, I started going deeper into manufacturers and what they stood for. I wanted to know where did like Rolls-Royce come from, and what defines their body lines. So this is blending both worlds, the visual world and the blind universe. And I wanted to have this as a union. Like I can visualize in my head, and when I put my hands on the body, I can interpret the tactile vision into the mental visuals that I have. So it's more of what I have in my memory bank and what I have learned with the braille. Braille is more of touch and feel. So it's interpreting all that into what is physical. And it's amazing how I also remember different brands, like different trims of Toyota, different trims of Nissan, and even with the new models, you cannot go far from what the company stands for. Like if we are talking about a RAV4, the new model, there is the basis, the platform where they came from. So I actually I trace back, then interpret into the future where we have. But I know we have new brands that I never saw in my low vision days. So it's also a learning curve for me, and surrounding myself with people who love cars and who are really passionate about cars and what they stand for and where we are headed with the automotive industry. That helps me a lot. Okay, professionally, I'm not like a car salesman or anything. I'm a lawyer by profession. I work with an NGO, an organization called Enable, where we empower blind and visually impaired using assistive technology. I can attribute my success to assistive technology because even when I'm researching about cars and all that, tweeting and responding to people online and putting my post out there for people to read more about what I'm feeling and what I would want to portray to the world, it's assistive technology. Essentially, I'm talking about technology that enables a blind person to interact with technology that is screen readers, voiceover on iPhones, NVDAs, JAWS on computers, and all this makes my life easier and also makes me to be able to be at par with everyone else. So yeah, I think that's me in a nutshell. I have so many other things that I do, but yeah, I think that defines where my love for cars, and reviews by touch and feel comes from.
Hey, thank you. That's a very inspirational story. From 10 years, you say you lost sight twice. So there was the 10 years and then again back in campus. So between the 10 years and to campus, had your sight regained and then the low vision days came gradually
Yes, so,
ending? Or
yeah,
yes,
so
please.
when I was 10, when I lost it, I was blind, totally blind for a year and a half. So I started regaining gradually by, I used to call them fade-offs, because I used to wake up in the morning and realize that I can see some color better than I could the day before. And this one went up until 6-7 months, to a point where I could use my naked eyes to read and, write, which was, that's everything to a young boy. And again, after like 5-6 months, started going down again. So I was prescribed for glasses, which I used I was taking classes behind, to learn braille, mobility, orientation. Yeah.
Okay, so now the time, I just want to understand where now, from the 10 years old, were you already into cars? Were you already loving cars? It came later on?
Yeah. No. Even before, when I was like 6-7 years, I used to scribble, like when I'm walking to school, I could see a very flashy car, the Pajeros at the time. That's 90s. And these are the big cars we used to know. So I used to look at them and then go interpret on paper by just having a silhouette shape of it. And it grew stronger and stronger as I grew. And I think my disability did not hinder anything for me to fall in love with cars and get passionate about different designs and all that.
So it really started from way back. So now, when did you learn how to drive? Have you ever driven in a car?
Yeah, I drive. Even now I can drive, but I need someone on the passenger seat to tell me, go left, go right, because I can't see the road. But when I learned to drive when I was in university, this is around I think 21 years, 21 years, 22 years there.
So between the time
because I was low.
Yes, please proceed.
I was low vision. I was low vision at the time, so I could see a bit like on the bonnet. So I used to like drive on roads that I'm really comfortable with, like shags, the back roads. I've never driven on. Okay, I've driven on tarmac, but not a busy road.
So what was your first drive? What was your first car to drive, and you're very comfortable driving now that you're 21 years now? Umepata gari yako ya kwanza ilikuwa gani?
Wing Road, the old model.
And do you still remember that experience? Do you still have that feeling with you of driving that car? Does it translate to now everything else you do from that point onwards?
Yeah, very much so. Every time I get on the driver's seat, I always remember those days in campus when, I used to, it was my roommate's mom's car. So ilikuwa a lot of negotiations for me to even get it out of the parking lot. But once I got comfortable with it, he got to a place where he could come, give me the keys, just go take some laps on the field. So the experience of me putting my foot on the accelerator and actually feeling the car moving, that was like, how you get freedom of something like getting out of the house and breathing in the fresh air. That was sublime for me. Like it's something I cannot put anything against, and I'm always very careful because I know that I can't tell how the road looks like, so I'm very careful with pushing the pedal and also the brakes. So I'm very sensitive, especially when I'm on a stretch of a road and I'm with someone. If they say stop, I'm very quick to do that because I don't want to try accelerate and feel the thrill, forgetting that there's safety first.
That's true. So I'm actually very curious. After now you're in campus, you've learned how to drive. Ushapata wing road. Still at this stage, there's still that low vision period. All this is the low vision period.
Yes, the low vision period. Yeah, but actually, I didn't start with driving. I started with motorbike because I had the balance of a bicycle. So, and I knew how to shift gears. I started my confidence from a motorcycle, which was my cousin's bike, and it's not the sports bikes. It was called Lion. These bodas. Yeah. So from there, like feeling the machine, you being one with the machine, and it's moving. Then I was like, I can actually graduate to car like driving now.
Wow. So you started with bikes. Do you still do bikes? Do you still have that passion for bikes? Or it was just your learning thing and then you're done with bikes purely into cars?
No, I have passion for bikes, especially during my low vision days. The field view of a bike was better than a car because, a bike, you're looking here, down here. For a car, there's the bonnet. You have to do a lot of math, and I even to this day I can ride a bike, but I need someone like on the pillion seat to tell me, try accelerate a bit, and then, I still have the love for bikes, but I can't talk bike the way I talk cars.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So now you're now a lawyer. You've graduated from campus. You've been admitted to the bar, right? And now you're yes.
Yeah. I'm waiting admission to the bar, but I have finished KSL already.
Congratulations for that. You're waiting for admission. That's good.
Yeah.
So now, all this time, so when did you clear campus? Let's just go back kidogo because I'm just trying to fix timelines here.
Yeah, I finished campus in 2018. I graduated December of 2018. I was at University of Nairobi, Parklands.
So okay, sawa. So in 2018, you're a graduate, so you got on to KSL.
So you proceed to Kenya School of Law. I went 2019, and this is now the year when the second wave of blindness hit.
Oh, so this is now in 2019.
2019, yeah, just before my bar exams. So we were like a month to the bar exams.
And now, since then, there's been no really change. You're now there as you're now using the cane.
Yeah, I'm using the cane and assistive technology. That is, my laptop has the screen reader, my phone has the voiceover, and of course, when I'm not using the cane, I normally have a guide to move with. But like in town, I can move comfortably with the cane because I was taught the mobility from a young age, the age of 10.
Okay. Thank you so much, Julius. It's amazing to hear your story. It's great to hear that, yes, we can do it. You've really mentioned something that when the time came that your vision started getting to the point of the low vision, you started now going deeper into the cars, something that probably people like me are still saying, I still have time. You went deep, you started understanding what is now the whole thing about making a car, because this is now what you're relying on as this time. Is that the case?
Yeah. And like in university now, the dream and vision of Julio Supercharged started, becoming brighter and brighter when I was thinking about, how I can share with people how different I can talk about cars and make them appreciate cars.
Thank you. Now I want us to go actually now into that Julio Supercharge. And before we do that, guys, this is SpaceYaMagari. Let's tweet, let's share, let's tell guys where we are. This is SpaceYaMagari. We're just having a short conversation with Julius. He's a lawyer. He does car reviews. He's actually, I'm getting this straight from his page. He says he's a blind lawyer with a passion for automotive, and he reviews cars by touch and feel. That's something that you'll find not everywhere. As in, there's this guy who does reviews of cars, and you guys, his channel he'll be telling us about his channel. He'll be telling us about what he does and where Julius Supercharge was born and how it was born. So thank you so much, Julius, for making time to be with us. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Let's tweet. If there is any question whatsoever, I'm inviting questions before we start going into now Julius Supercharge in details and telling us now when this started, how he did it, how does he do his shoots, does he edit for himself? Yes, so this is now what we're looking for. So if there is any question, guys, this is your time. Sir Kelvin, any question? Any question? Okay, sawa. The hashtag is SpaceYaMagari. Thank you. Let's keep tweeting. Let's keep sharing as we now go into that. So, Julius, tell me, how did you start the idea of Julio Supercharged, the idea of YouTube, the idea of you doing cars reviews? Where did you start this from?
So, I started following YouTubers, car reviewers, starting with Supercar Blondie, Doug Damiro, the likes of Salamondrin, and looking at the spectrum of the automotive industry, I did not find there was no disruption of the norm. It was the same thing, people reviewing cars. I wanted to be really good at cars, that I can actually do this and shift perception of people who really depend entirely on visual and seeing and believing that you can only love a car by how it looks, the paint job and the accessories on it. So my inspiration was Supercar Blondie. The fact that she's a lady and she's made it in a male-dominated industry, I wanted to peg that with the fact that this is a visually dominated industry, and I'm coming into it while lacking that sense of seeing and being attracted to the car by just seeing and looking at it. So I wanted to show people that I can do something totally different, what you wouldn't expect, like a blind person being so much into cars and telling you how a Rolls-Royce Dawn looks like, or a Ferrari 488 looks like, how it's different from a 458. And this was the premise of the idea behind Julio Supercharge.
That's amazing. So now Julio Supercharge is born, and I see it was 1 year ago. That's when you did your first video on YouTube.
Yeah. During the pandemic.
Now, in the pandemic, you did your first video, and right after that, you did the Toyota GT86.
Yes.
And tell us about that Toyota.
So the GT86, I had approached so many car yards to give me like cars to create content with, and they were very skeptical, of course. Me walking into the car yard with a white cane, and trying to convince them that I can actually review cars. And some actually like ignored me totally. But I did not lose hope. So I went to a couple more, car ads, talking to them and trying to find if I can actually get a car to review. So I landed at Al Hussein, which is a car ad along Ngong Road. And they had an array of cars, different cars. But the GT86 caught my attention because it's a car that was inspired by the Boxer engine for the Subaru. And I wanted to bring something very unique into the automotive industry, show people that, they think Toyotas don't have supercars. Or the only Toyotas you think in the supercar realm, it's the Supra or the Celica, the MR2, but there is this underdog, the GT86, that so many people don't know about, that I wanted to, share with the world. And people started talking about the car, telling me, yeah, bring more. So I went back and got CHR, which is also a very quirky,
The SUV.
the mini SUV, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the GT86 was because of how it was created, the collaboration between Subaru and Toyota to bring it to life, and the mechanism behind the platform itself, that it's driver oriented, and it's low, it has all the aesthetics for a supercar. Yeah.
So when you walk to the yard, uliwaambia unataka kureview gari, walikuambia nini? As you also tell us, where is that handle? Unataka kureview gari, umeingia na white cane.
Yeah.
Unataka kureview gari.
Yeah. So
what was the question?
So it was very confusing to the owner, especially because I found the brother who told me to come back after like 2 hours and get now the other brother who is in management, and he listened to my story, because I went there. I was like, hey, I'm really passionate about cars. I want to create something out of my passion and to share with the world. And then like it was like pitching for for the idea to be something that can be that people can take serious, because I didn't have a YouTube channel. I didn't have any video to showcase that this is how I do the reviews. It was just word of mouth. So I talked to him. He told me come back after 2 hours. So I felt like I'm being dismissed, So I told him, can I look around, like feel the cars around, and then by the time your brother is coming back, we can have a talk. And he was okay. So talking to the brother, hakuamini, so nikamwambia, instead of me telling you how I review cars, how about we get into this space and you give me a random car I touch, tell you what car it is and the performance, and a little bit about it. And tukaingia kwa yard yenyewe, and even customers started surrounding the cars as I was going around them. So the first car aliniguzisha ilikuwa a BMW 3 Series. So I got it right. He took me to a Mercedes E-Class. I got it right again. And then, he told me, from that point, he told me, I'll support you fully. Anything you need, any car you need, just tell me when do you need the car and what do you need for the shoot. So it started like that.
Wow. So watu hadi walikuwa wanashindwa, sasa huyu mtu anataka kureview gari hapa. There was that excitement, guys wanting to see what you do. And how was the reception of the video on YouTube once you put it up? And also tell us how was the production setup? Unajua YouTube, it's more like a production. You need a camera crew, you need sound.
Yeah.
Did you have all that ready? You're just waiting for a car?
I didn't have a crew. I also didn't have the fancy gadgets that people normally get before shooting their first video. All I had was faith and the fact that my positive, attitude would bear something out of that. So actually, I was given the permission to shoot with the car without having the camera, the crew, or the idea of how I would go about it. But again, nilimwambia nipatie like 3-4 days to get everything together so that I can come and now review the car. So I talked to a couple of friends, of course, referrals. Unaambiwa nani uko na camera, and also a friend of mine had suggested that we can do a mini documentary on my story. So nikamwambia, instead of doing that, how about we get into a project that I'm thinking to launch. Then he was like, he was curious of how the project would come out. So nilimwambia, hey, I am thinking of reviewing cars and putting them on YouTube for people to actually appreciate cars through a different dimension. So alikuwa like, I need to be there for me to believe that this is what you're doing. So akaniambia, it's okay, let's go. We went on a Saturday and the shoot was great. Tulikuwa ile nawaambia tu, I know about the engine, I know about the interior, I know where the car came from. So I had a lot of information. So it is dumping all that information into one video. It was like 40 minutes long. Then ndo akanipatia idea of editing and told me that you should have things that you concentrate on. If it's the features, like the quirks, you concentrate on that. If it's something that you want people to learn about the car, you concentrate on that. You can't talk about the history and the car and the engine and the performance, all that into one video. It will be super long, like 50 minutes, So akaniambia, how about you shorten that into consumable minutes that people can actually appreciate. Mtu anaweza watch once, aambie mtu, hey, by then niliona hii review, ebu iangalie. And the reception was positive. People started sharing the video online, on their Insta, sending to friends, ebu watch hii video. So yeah, and that is all I was looking for, having to shift perception of people on cars and also on disability at large. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Me, I'm very passionate about production, so I'm actually very, very excited to know that guys are out there to be ready to help you where you needed support. Is in the house, and I know Grown is also somebody in that production line. So it's amazing just to know that guys who are ready to just hold your hand where you needed support. I really, really am grateful that guy from the showroom was very happy to even accept and even tell you, I'll support you from here onwards. Kitu nataka niambie. Yeah. Is that what he said?
Yes.
So okay. Sawa, tumeruka hata tunaanza kuongea production, hata hatujauliza which is this channel, what is the name of your channel, how do we find it? Just ebu tupatie hiyo channel sasa tuijue, ndio hata watu watoke hapa saa hii tuende kwanza tufanye subscription.
The channel is Julio Supercharge. Julio is Julio, Julio, or you can say Julio. Then Supercharge is one word. Super and charge, of course, like the supercharge, the equivalent of a turbo. Okay, not equivalent, but like the turbo, but now supercharge. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So it's Julio Supercharge. I'm also having challenge pronouncing that. Karibu niseme, nimekuwa nikitaka kusema Julio Supercharge all through. Mdomo yangu unanisumbua.
It's Julius in Spanish, so tunakubali hata Julio.
So it's Julio Supercharge. You guys, let's go and subscribe. Watu wa Magari, tafadhali. We have one of us who does car reviews by Catch. He does amazing reviews. If you have gone through his channel, you can tell, manze, there is a lot of content. Manze, kuna vitu huko this guy has been reviewing that are just amazing. He did a review of... How was the review of the AMG 663? How was it?
Hey, that was like, I think it's my highlight, the AMG and also the autobiography. So the AMG, it being a muscle car and being very rare, especially even in Kenya, that caught my attention, and I wanted to, nilianza kuongelesha the owner way back nikianza reviews, and at the time hakuwa change color, the color of the car, the paint job. So he painted Ferrari red on the car and actually imported the paint from the US. It can tell you how much attention to detail this person goes to import the paint, and also carbon fiber trims. It has carbon fiber trims on the inside, outside, on the exhaust tips, the side skirts and all that. Maze, that was one beautiful machine. I was so humbled to have gotten my hands on the AMG. Yeah.
The highlight of your so far apart from the AMG, is there any other car that has caught your ile imekuexcite mpaka unasikia yes nimefanya review? Ni gani hiyo?
The autobiography
of the AMG bado?
No, Range Rover autobiography.
Oh, there, sorry, the Range Rover autobiography. Where is? I'm actually on your channel right now. I'm looking for that video.
Yeah,
I've seen it. So, guys, it's Julius Supercharge. Go to that channel. Let's subscribe. Follow him on his channel. If there's any questions that you guys have so far, I see Saruni, you're in the space. I see Alasiri, you're coming in. For Pete's sake, I see you've just come in. Turbo Diesel, you're in the space. If there's any questions so far, let's start engaging. Kuna mtu yote ambaye ako na swali so far? Marvin, any comment? Any question before we proceed? Yeyote ambaye ako na swali sasa hivi? Yes, Marvin?
Wow, man. I never thought I'd be challenged in how much people can love cars, man. That story is so moving.
Thank you.
In a very powerful story, man. That's awesome, man. And keep doing what you're doing. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable until someone goes to your YouTube channel.
Thank you very much.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers, Marvin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Nashkuru. Any question, comment about the same? Saruni, I see you in the house. Okay, Alasiri, you just came in the house. Any question, any comment? If there is anyone who has a question, just request for the mic. I'm here just waiting for those questions before we proceed. And let's share. Let's just share. Wacha watu wajue mahali tuko. Just send in those requests. If you have any question directly to Julius here in the space, just this is your time. I see you, Saruni B, Saruni L. Yes, any question? Esna, Daktari? Okay. Sawa. So, Julius. Julius, can you hear me? Hi. Julius, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Tuko pamoja. I thought tulikuwa tumeachana kidogo. So, now there was now the after you started doing this, is this when now you started doing interviews? Because I see you started doing media tours, interviews here and there. So how was this and was this now what you really wanted? Because I see you did a show at NTV with The Trend. I also see you did something with Switch TV.
Yeah. And
more engagements with guys out there with Akina Malinduku. So tell us about that. How has the media been to you? Is there anything has it been a very receptive world for you doing cars in this condition? Has it been a world that you regret joining?
So far, a positive feedback from people, and the fact that I can review cars in a different space, and show people that you don't need to have everything to actually appreciate cars and talk about cars, and get more into what the automotive industry has. And the media tour is more of bringing awareness to people, and also showing other people living with disability that you can do it. You don't have to limit yourself, because if you have a passion for anything, you can go for it, and you don't need to listen to negative, sympathetic views from people, the society, and bring yourself down because you feel inadequate. You can do more, and you can be more than you even think about. You have power inside you. Use it, channel that into what you love, your hobbies and all that. And it's been a humbling experience to have to share my story with the world and get to inspire people, impact lives. I tell people my mantra in life is changing mindsets, shifting perception, and touching lives in the process. If I can do that by telling my story, talking about my love for cars, skating, hiking, everything. And if that can help someone, even someone going through, a rough patch, to just get out of that and say, if he can do it, why not me? If he's capable of that, why not me? So I wanted to show people that, disability is not inability, and go beyond that and push boundaries that haven't been pushed before. And I'm still doing that. I'm still conquering, more ground, and showing that it's possible. And I tell people the sky is not the limit if I cannot see that sky. So yeah.
If you cannot see that sky, it's not the limit. That's a good one. That's a good one. So thank you, Marvin. Is there what are the big plans coming up? What do we expect? Rather, Julius, what are the big plans that we're expecting from you moving forward into 2022? What are your resolutions that you're planning for us? Watu wa Magari umetupangia nini? What are the big reviews that we should be expecting on your channel? Tell us about your future now. From today, what are you thinking of doing? What are you planning of doing? Is there anything that you have for us that tunaweza simama tuseme tunakungoja sasa?
So the plan and the resolution for the year is to actually now make people appreciate accessibility in cars. So when I talk about accessibility, is the infotainment system. If it's accessible to a person. Ala?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm saying accessibility is at the core of the resolution and the theme for this year. I want people to understand, and also manufacturers to understand, that you need to be inclusive in the design elements of the car. So if it's the infotainment system, don't think about someone who can only see. Think about the person, a person who's deaf, a person who's blind, who cannot see the screen, and how will that person navigate to change channels on the radio, to change navigation? And is the navigation also inclusive to tell someone who cannot see that the road is 200 kilometers away from here, this turn and this twist and this bump and all that? So accessibility is very key to me, and I want people to appreciate all that into the design features of the car. And also expect more reviews and having more fun. We don't only do reviews, we have fun on the channel, and we also get to talk to people and their views and their passion for cars. We have that segment on Julio Talks. It's also under Julio Supercharge. So expect more people coming in to share on the love for cars, and also trying to make people appreciate the transition from the internally combustion engines to the hybrids and the electric EVs. Yeah, so embracing the future and squinting into the bright yet to come good things, lurching forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Julius. We are very excited to have you with us. We are very happy that you actually are part of this car community. The car community really appreciates the fact that you're here with us, and we are very excited to move with you into the future. It's an amazing feeling. Tell us something else. Which is the car that you have met to be very accessible, friendly, or rather, it's very friendly to you when you're doing or when you're trying to do your operations in the car? Which is that unit that you found to be very friendly?
So on the modern, of course, with the limitation of years in Kenya, now we are importing cars. These KD somethings, they are for 2014. So you can understand that technology has grown a lot. So we are getting cars that have Android Play, and this wasn't the case in previous models of the previous batches of cars we were getting. So the Android Play has the feature for accessibility called TalkBack. So the TalkBack, you can configure it the way I use my phone with the VoiceOver. Of course, VoiceOver being from Apple, it's the same for Android phones, which have an equivalent, which is TalkBack. And this actually makes it easier for a person who's blind to navigate. So I got into a car, which is my friend's car, a Voxy, which has the Android Play. And actually, I was amazed at the fact that I can control the infotainment by myself by using TalkBack. So I think that is one of the features that we were lacking before. But now that we are catching up with the technology, everything is going according to plan.
Thank you. Allow me, before I let you go, to just see if we have any questions or comments for you. BIG Africa, I see you in the house. Karibu sana. BIG. Hi.
Bob, hi. Okay, this is my other account, Bob. This is Kelvin.
Sir Kelvin, umekuja na BIG.
Yeah, hii ingine mic ni kama imepotea, sijui mtu amekanyaga wire or something. Try ni drop the other account and then bring me up.
Hey Bob, I have a question.
Okay, sawa. Thank you. Yes, Turbo.
So this I did have a conversation with Julius actually just a few days back, and me and my how no matter how someone can be differently able, you still find a way of sort of enjoying your passion. I think for us car people and to other people who are differently abled, kusema kwamba just because you're not the same as everyone else, you can't enjoy the same things, right? Because vile tu umesema, you're only limited with what you can or can't see and things like that. So stories like this zinafanya wase hata una feel sort of motivated to what you're doing and things like that. So my question to Julius is, kati ya Land Cruiser na Range Rover gani car?
Really? Turbo? Yes, Julius, that's a question, by the way. Kati ya Land Cruiser na Range Rover. This has been war here. Julius, you're with us?
Yeah.
There's been war in these timelines. Apparently, Land Cruisers have been trying to outshine Range Rovers. And they are seeking your comment. Which one do you think conquers?
For me, I'm not being biased, but I'll go for a Land Cruiser. And the reason being, when I started tapping into my other senses, I was listening to different cars and different tones from different engines. I can tell you, like, let's start with the TX. They have a different, distinct, growl with the engine, and also, V8 being the king of off-roading, of course. I wouldn't put anything on top of Land Cruisers, because the durability is top notch. You can bring a Toyota Land Cruiser from the 80s and it will run like you bought it 3-4 years ago.
Turbo, there you go. He goes for the Land Cruiser. I hope you're happy.
Just Kumbuka is just saying, ameendesha
But of course,
so,
the Range Rover's comfort, plushness and all that. But hizo zote ni gimmicks.
Nipo bro, you've won. Hiyo imeishia hapo.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you. Is there any other questions? I know that's a topic actually I want us to go into after we're done with Julius, because that's something that has been on the timelines a lot. Kwanza nataka Turbo. Nimeona Turbo kuna mahali ulikuwa umeanziwa na Prado ukaanza kujificha. We want to actually hear you on that angle. So yes, is there any other question to Julius that you guys have, and have you guys subscribed yet? Sheila, I see your hand is up. Please request for the mic, Sheila, because so that you come on top, so that tuongee upande huu. Sheila, kindly. Yes, I see MPG. Your hand is up.
I think MPG had a question.
Yes.
Hey guys.
Jambo.
Hey.
Julius karibu sana. Julius is an old buddy of ours. He's come to MPG. We've hung out with him mara kadhaa. Fantastic person, and I feel inspired a lot by what he achieves despite his disabilities. And well, I've known him enough to be able to joke with him. So sometimes utaona nikimrushia kajoke hivi. Like I wanted to tell him he hasn't seen how beautiful the new Range Rover is. That's why maybe I've created Land Cruiser. But anyway, Julius, dude, you inspire us a lot, and continue doing that. Na kitu ingine, Julius ameendesha Black Widow, and yeah, just wanted you to know that. Mlimuuliza ni gari gani imemuimpress. Julius has driven the Black Widow.
Julius, how was it?
Yeah.
I
I actually can't hear. I did not get the comment. What's that?
MPG rudia.
Oh, nimewaambia Julius ashaiendesha Black Widow.
Bob, nakusikia, but I can't hear the other person.
Okay. He's saying that you've driven the Black Widow. Have you driven the Black Widow, and how was it?
Yeah. I've driven it, and I can attest that it's not Black Widow for nothing, It's a good friend. Mbura.
Poa sana Julius.
I think he's having difficulties. What I'll do, let me just see. Julius, can you hear any other speaker apart from Mbura, so that we see kama tutadrop Mbura and then
I had Marvin. I didn't hear the rest.
You didn't hear the rest. So, okay, so what you're going to do, let's just drop you and then tukurudisha, because spaces saa zingine nakuanga tu na issues zake. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, kindly usitoke. I'm just going to remove you from the speakers and then add you back.
Okay.
So that you join in. So yes, you're no longer a speaker. MPG, yani hiyo gari unapeananga hizo gari na kujuana ama?
Black Widow ni ile golfer yake. Ni ile ari yake.
And inaitwa Black Widow. So Julius had to experience that. Bob nitakuita siku yako. Wewe tulia. When I want you to throw up when you get into the Black Widow. So wewe ngoja.
Okay,
sasa kuosha gari.
Okay, I'm trying to get Julius back. Let me just, if you don't mind, Kevo, you can pick up as I call him so that we put him back on.
No mad because Mbura amesema ni wa Range Rover.
Mbura, unajitetea kwa pande gani? Jua ni mtu wa Range Rover.
Mimi kununua 4x4 si ya kwenda kukula shida huko msituni. It's for taking kids to school, dropping them, picking them. Mimi nanunua Range Rover bana.
Kwani kazi ya school bus ni nini? Kazi ya school bus ni nini wewe?
Nikiwa na hiyo pesa watoto wataenda na school bus bana. Ni nini wewe? But that is as far as, you know, having a big car is concerned. But if you told me to go to the Kalahari and come back, I would definitely take the Land Cruiser.
So pia wewe unakubali that the Range Rover itakufikisha huko lakini itakurudisha, itakuacha huko stranded?
Range Rover ni ya status, ni luku, you know. You arrive somewhere in a range, in a car fitting, comfortable. But would I take the Range Rover and try to drive it across Africa? I wouldn't. For obvious reasons. Nitachukua tu Land Cruiser. Land Cruiser, and I won't even check. I'll have faith it will go to the North Africa and back.
Okay, though uko na double standards, but ni sawa. Mimi mahali
ununue zote
Range Rover. Unaweza nunua zote mbili.
Ama ununue zote mbili.
Ununue Land Cruiser kuja Range Rover. Ununue Land Cruiser ndio uvutange Range Rover.
Yes, ndio.
Exactly.
Saruni tutetee hapa bana.
You see, the big thing is, guys are arguing. Okay, at least what I've seen, guys are arguing about those cars from two different perspectives. If you ask anyone which car he would take across rivers and deserts and atoe Kenya kutoka Moyale all the way to Mombasa, I think without bias, Land Cruiser is the easier car to deal with. But if you ask which is the most iconic 4x4, now that becomes something else that is very different, because the feelings, the opinions. But when it comes to performance on the ground, everybody knows.
Because me ideally where I lost it for Range Rover is that you see this Range Rover Evoque, that kadudia Range Rover, like hiyo gari mimi I've been seeing it nikidhania that car is 4-wheel drive or rather all-wheel drive. Kitu nikakuja kurealize 2-wheel drive. How?
2-wheel drive.
Range Rover mazee. Yeah, so watu wa Range Rover mkuje kwa speaker panel leo. Mila vipi? Pasara Mila Range Rover Land Rover, which is the same.
Unakimbiza na masufuria kwa camp.
Umeanza banta mapema. You see that topic of the Range Rover and the LC. I think
I'm back, Bob.
Mila, go for it. As we sort it.
You think?
You can continue.
I've been reading the comments and the banter that has been going on, and each and every person is arguing from a different perspective. Me, if you ask me, like, we should lay down, like, between the LC and the Range Rover under what circumstances. Like what the guy who's spoken has said. You personally, you've seen, like, if you've watched this name is called what the Grand Tour. There's one of the guys who did a Range Rover like from a very hostile place, and actually it is the only car that managed. The other guy who was having a Suzuki, it haikufika mahali walikuwa naenda. The other guy was doing I think an LC70 or something, which did it. So for me personally, if you ask me as Mila, what would I go for? First, I'll ask you, I'm picking a car under what circumstances, for what purposes? Because if it is status, definitely it will be a Land Rover or a Range Rover. If it's going to Msitu, still a Land Rover. Mimi LC, there's no hakuna mali za shika LC over Range Rover ama Land Rover, no way.
Lakini ndio niambia mtafutie juzi.
Tulia sasa, siri yangu na wewe. Hiyo ni ya kazi,
But actually I agree with you. I think
yeah.
I also saw that special because
but again you see what's funny again is you see most of the guys who are bashing Land Rover or Range Rover are people who haven't, not in a bad way, but this is just something I've realized. Utapata msee alienda kwa garage mahali ama ameenda base mahali amesikia wasi wakitrash talk Mark X, but him or her personally aja nini na hiyo gari like personal interaction with the car, but because alisikia story
bro, I'll have to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. I really have to interrupt you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm from the Great North.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually a Samburu guy from the Great North. Now, we've been doing rough roads way before 2015.
Okay.
When I tell you, I can testify to Toyota's credibility, reliability. It's your story. I have seen cars stall on the road, and I've seen people being, in very nasty situations because of how unreliable their vehicles are. I've also seen cruisers limp to service garage, taking people there. Unajua iko na shida moja major, but inafika. Now, Land Rovers, even back in the day, they were good vehicles, but ikiharibika, even the 110s that guys are praising, they could break down and could not move. This is like deep into northern Kenya territory. This is not at Tumenda Bundu roving. We don't have like 15 friends who can tow us to security or to the service. This is something personally I have experienced. We've driven Land Cruisers to and from Marsabit and also 110s to and from Marsabit. Hakuna ile confidence tuko nayo na Land Rover. Land Rover ile tunabeba ni ile ya Gava. And that was back in the day when the government was only doing 110s. Ni ya Gava, but no one is like, we are putting all our eggs in this basket. No. Kama ni cruiser, that will get us there. So when I say that see banter, we are not in UK, we are not in Europe, we're in Africa. We've seen these things, Maze. I have towed Range Rovers, I have towed Land Rovers. And see your banter. But I cannot rely on that. I can't give that confidence. Unajua? But if I'm in Tao, if I'm in Nairobi, if I'm in Mombasa, why the hell not? Man, I'm gonna floss with that Range Rover, I'm gonna floss with that Land Rover, be it disco, or lakini ati tunaenda bush, bro.
But you see, bush. It's good actually started by saying personal experience,
yes, it is.
Even me, my personal experience, I've done that there's a time we went up to the Ethiopia border where there is this forest, the Stones Forest. There is no at the end where that place is called the Kobifora now, between then up to the border of Ethiopia. Actually, there is no Land Rover that broke, but there's an LC. Even me, I'm talking from a personal experience. There's a reason I'd go for. Okay, for me personally, even without the reliability, the comfort, and all that stuff, I've always been a Land Rover person. Always, like it's in my heart. So whichever way, whether someone says, I agree, Land Rover has issues. That's a fact. Yeah.
What I would actually ask guys, what I actually ask guys to do, don't listen to banter nini hizo stories zote. Talk to guys who are in the bush. Like talk to guys who are from Moyale, talk to guys who are in probably ndani ya Mara, Masai Mara, talk to guys who are in Wajir, then get what they say, because truth be told, Land Rovers can do, as someone actually quite pointed out quite correctly, you could do the occasional tunaenda huko, but there are cars that have been bred to live huko. Unajua, there's a difference.
Good
you could
evening,
actually
gentlemen.
go out and do like a weekend thing, and then there are cars that have been bred, that have been manufactured to live there. There's a difference. So ongea na wale watu ambao wako huko mashinani, my friend. Talk to guys who roll with these cars. See what they have to say, because those are the guys who will give you the honest opinion. That's all.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Motogari, Motogari, if you don't mind, just a minute, Motogari, if you don't mind, if I may. Kidogo tu. Guys, thank you so much. Najua hii conversation nataka iendelee, but before tumalize, wacha tupatie Julius parting shot so that we can release him and we have this conversation. Conversation about Land
Bob,
Cruiser,
I think I'm back.
Rover going round. Umesema wewe ni team Land Cruiser, sawa. Yes. Julius?
So I think network ilianza issues when we were talking about Land Cruiser and Range Rover.
Yeah.
And my contribution to that, I would say there's a reason why UN and these NGOs which operate in the very severe interior remote areas of Africa choose Land Cruisers. And there's a reason why for the longest time, even going back, and it's not like I'm in the gang, our mafia guys, they use Land Cruisers. They've been created, and they while these other cars look for luxury first and then off-roading capabilities, the Land Cruiser is built for off-roading, and then the luxury is an afterthought. So I think I was there. I think.
Bob, I think you can come up. Bob?
Just before he comes up, I think hii Land Rover na Range Rover, in as much as mnajua Nico, I think people tunaiangalia in a different light. Cause you can hear me?
Yeah, Alex, go for it.
Yeah, so now I'm saying like tunaiangalia in different light. No matter which car you like, wewe kuna zenye una prefer. The reason why Land Cruisers are in the Mara and not Land Rovers, kuna Land Rovers zingine and not Range Rovers, is because hizo gari hakuna parts and things like that. They've made like hata hakunanga luxury in the Mara. The seats ni basic nini. But for anyone in Nairobi, luxury is important. Kila place kuna lami, utaenda off maybe once every year or once every 2 years and things like that. Where Range Rover wins. Ukiangalia the toys that Range Rovers have, it's so much na zote unaweza tumia. LC uko very bare, which is nice, especially if you're coming from a budget background. But manze, the things that Range Rovers have and the things that Land Rovers konazo, it's so much. Ukiangalia kwa 4x4, Land Rover has among the best 4x4 capabilities, if not the best. So let's just get off the bat. Hata as Land Cruiser the same and whatnot. It's just that the Land Cruiser is an accessible 4-wheel drive that inaweza do both, inaweza do both, unlike the Range Rover. So depending on where you're coming from, Range Rover inaweza kusuit or Land Cruiser inaweza kusuit. Nile tu mimi na prefer Land Cruiser because I'm coming from a budget background. If I need to go somewhere haraka hata nikivunja gearbox, I know I'll buy it for 70k. Sitaumia, unaona. that's where the problem comes in. But in terms of capability and whatnot, easy gari mbili ni capable. If something goes south, moja itaingia mfuko more. It's just simple. Mila,
Alex,
go for it.
wonderful, bro. Yeah. But truth be told, the cruiser is not fucking cheap, maze. You know, like to buy a functioning cruiser, a 20-year-old functioning cruiser is worth more than probably a 10-year-old functioning Range Rover. And there's a reason. The thing is, at the end of the freaking day, hii gari, nikiwa ni mimi na hii gari, and all I have is acres and kilometers and miles of dirt or rough road, no cruiser itanifikisha. That's something to brag about, by the way. And Range Rovers are fantastic vehicles. I've also driven a Range Rover. They are fantastic, man. The Growl, I've even driven the Classic. That Growl, maze, is incredible. But we had to like drive that Range Rover for 500 kilometers with the mechanic. You understand? Because it's a fantastic vehicle, yes, but you know. But truth be told, cruiser unaweza uziwa leo hapa, and it is inawaka, na utaenda nayo Moyale na urudi, and you won't need a mechanic. So if I'm living in Nairobi, I'm staying in Nairobi, I'm all in tarmac, the Range Rover could do very well. Though it still doesn't, you know, kuna ile suspension inaharibika unatoa ka 300k. But it can do well. But I think the thing with the Land Rover, let me just finish. The thing with the Land Cruiser is it's bare bones, and it can get you from point A to B, whether or not. No. So that's just it. It's a freaking tool. It's a tool. It's not a luxury thing. It's a tool. LC200 just puts luxuries on top of the tool, but it is a tool on top of it. That's it.
If I may interject, gentlemen, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, I think one thing we need to do is also start. There are a lot of people who are listening in and might not have any idea about a lot of the cars that we're talking about. So when we're talking about Land Cruisers and everything, it's also good for us to differentiate. Now, when we say Toyotas are the cars that are built for Africa and Kenyan roads, maybe in particular, we also need to mention that most of these are... Yes?
Your audio is breaking. No, it's fine.
Give me one. No, it's fine. So when we're talking about, for example, the Land Cruisers, let's specify some of the Land Cruisers that we're talking about, because as we know, when we say Land Cruisers are found in Mbura, we're not going to find an LC300. We're going to definitely find a 79 series. We're going to find maybe an odd 150 or 120 Prado, 95 Prado. So it's also good to let people know which ones in particular, because you don't know the reason somebody's listening. Maybe they want to buy one of those vehicles. They just want to know how good they are. Now, when it comes back to the Land Cruiser and the Land Rover, most of us are talking about vehicles from a certain year to a certain year. The newer model 300 series, 200 series are not cars you will take up north just like that. Most of the people who have the budget to buy those cars would rather keep them as small crawlers or just soft off-roaders. Do one trip, come back, chill. Anybody who lives, for example, in Maralal or lives in Moyale or lives, let's say, deep into Sibiloi, where Mila was talking about, would have themselves a 79 cruiser. Reason being, one, availability of spare parts and service parts. Two, a vehicle that can manage to take in the dirty diesel that we find on the roads outside our big cities and major towns. Three, a vehicle that can be easily repaired. by a mechanic who is also deep in the village. The reason why we see most let's call them rovers. Rovers, when I talk about, I mean Range Rovers and the newer Land Rovers in areas that are heavily populated, let's just say big towns like Nairobi, Nakuru, is because there are mechanics who can repair them. The reason why you don't see a Range Rover, let's say a 2012 or 2020 Range Rover in a place like Loyangalani, is because you'll be out of your mind to spend that amount of money to buy that car, to go beat it up on such a road. It is very capable. One thing that people need to know. Some of them are very capable, but the problem is, as I think as Turbo Diesel mentioned, you need to notice that the repair bill that comes back when you have gone out with a Range Rover and the repair bill that comes into play when you have a Toyota are totally different. The air suspension from the Range Rover is very comfortable off-road. We've done trips where guys have gone with, let's say, the Disco 4. Comfortable, windows up, AC the whole way. One vehicle made it properly. I mean, all the way, we used the route from Nairobi to Nanyuki down Isiolo Marsabit, went in through North Hall, around Talbi Desert, went to Sibiloi for a couple of days, changed route, went round Sibiloi, came out through South Hall, and then back to Isiolo and out of Nairobi. One Disco 4 had, as in perennial problems, puncture after puncture after puncture after puncture. While the other made it through unscathed, no problem whatsoever. His windows were up the whole time, not even dust coming into the car. They enjoyed their drive. So again, it's based on the car that you buy. But again, when it comes back to the day that car gives you an issue, who's going to spend more? Somebody with a 79 series doesn't have an air suspension. So his shock springs, if it has leaf springs at the back, or let's say shocks and springs, are going to be cheaper than a Range Rover spare parts any time of the day. The older Range Rover, let's say the Classic, is just as hardy as any one of these older Toyotas. You see, like the 79 series, you could buy even a 2010, a 2012, a 2020 model and still go out with it, because that is actually what it was built for crazy roads. Now, the Range Rover was built for that, let me not call them KC, but that guy on our farm in Britain who keeps cows and stuff. So his off-roading is just, it has rained, the weather is normally nasty, but he can still drive that car and still drive the same car to the mall, do his shopping and everything. In Africa, things are totally different. So again, the argument of the Range Rover to Land Cruiser is dependent on the model that you're talking about. Some are very good. Some Land Rovers are extremely good. You'll have them, and that's why you'll go into different parts of the country and find the government buys, when they buy themselves, they'll always buy Land Cruisers because they know parts are readily available, it's easy to maintain, it's affordable to maintain, it can get the work done. Range Rover, on the other hand, you'll only see them in the presidential escort. I think that should also answer you something. Even within Nairobi, it is only within certain areas that you'll see this car going out. Whenever the presidential escort goes out to Nairobi, look at what car the president is normally carried in. Half of the time, he'll end up in his Land Cruiser. Reason being, it is a vehicle that can handle some of those conditions out there, irrespective of whether it's on tarmac or off-road. So there are small things that might tell you, yes, this car is extremely good off-road, but the cost of maintenance does not make it worth driving into some of those areas. People who've owned both will tell you, listen, Range Rover any day, but as soon as that warranty from the company disappears, I'm selling the car. I cannot maintain it myself. It's too expensive. It'll have this error after this error after this error. The 79 series has been built in a way that it is built for people who want to off-road, people who want to dive into rivers and come out on the other side like the Australians, and people like us who just want to drive a car until it can drive normal. I think that's why I'm machache. I hope I've helped that conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Solo, for that. At least we may try to drive in more clarity on the war between the LC and the Range Rover. But hiyo part ya kusema that hiyo ilikuwa mtu kuchunga ng'ombe huko sijui Britain wapi? Okay. Yeah, so who do we have? Bob, had Julius bring up his parting shots? I think he was bringing up his parting shots. Bob, if you can hear me.
Yeah, he was actually talking. He was talking before. I think we had a bit of a network issue. So I don't know if Julius, there is anything else you need to add. Kama iko, this is your time Julius. Tuambie tunakufuata wapi, nini tunafaa kufanya. That's it, ndio tumalizie, tuanze kupigana. Julius, anything? Okay, sawa. It's a wrap with Julius. It's been amazing, it's been real, it's been good. That's it. Kuna Motogari umetusaidia sana mambo ya the difference between the two and what is really we are talking about. Tuache kupigwa banta zenye hazieleweki zinatoka huku right, left and center. Yes, so it's amazing. So MPG mimi kitu nilikuwa nataka kujua ni Land Cruiser.
Bob, it seems you're breaking up. Isijika ni mimi peke yangu nasikia hivyo.
Bob, you're breaking. I didn't even hear what you were asking.
No, I was asking about. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh yeah, it was just that I don't know if there's anything else. I think it's a wrap with Julius. Tumemaliza na Julius, tumeshukuru sana. It's been amazing, it's been great. So yako ilikuwa inakuja MPG, tuambie kwa nini unachagua Range Rover na kwa nini uko na makesi na Range Rover kuliko Land Cruiser, so that we pick from there.
Before MPG goes, for Pete's sake, na kuona uko pale kwa regular, itisha Mike ukuju tusikie pia your point of view. Na Michael pia jamtoka panda juu pia wewe, na for Pete's sake mkuje muchangie pia hii.
Akuje VIP tu waibe simu. Oya, pia Chieftain ako hapa, uja ma Range Rover ako hapa. Chieftain, share mic.
Yeah, so Bob, in a very, I'm trying to say it in a very simple way. We are comparing two cars, which, yes, both of them zinauzwa kama, top of the range, 4x4 cars za kupiga kichaka and all that. But if you look at them closely and how the focus of their build, they're very focused differently. If you talk about luxury, there's no way you're going to compete na Range Rover. Luxury iko huko. If you talk about durability, now you can talk about your Land Cruiser. Like I said before, if you were told to take one of them and drive from Cape Town to Cairo and back, I'm sure most of us, even the Range Rover diehards, most of us would just take the Land Cruiser and choose peace. However, well, tukiulizana hapa ni gani noma, we are not defining hiyo noma ni nini. Because again, kama ni status and luxury, taenda for the range. Kama ni kuingia kichaka, going to bundles and crossing deserts and rivers, mtu atachukua Land Cruiser. So hiyo noma ni nini? We are not defining what is noma, and that's why people are fighting and saying, oh, nini. You see how the range is cool, it has this, iko na hii sauti, because we are not fighting on the same platform. Hatujui hiyo noma ni gani. Kama ni kwenda kwa kichaka, we know who is more capable. Ama who is more durable. It's not even about capability, because again, the Range Rover is an extremely capable car. Whether it's on slippery surfaces, on sand, on loose roads, it's very capable. However, people just don't believe itaenda Cairo na irudi. That's the big beef na Range Rover. The big advantage of Land Cruiser again ni ati everybody thinks itaenda Cairo na irudi Cape Town na irudi Cairo again bila kumkula kichwa. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Let me add something. I think we need to go back to how this conversation started. And tracking back, there's a guy called Ruthless. Ali Twitter akasema something. Julius, I think, mentioned something about this car that people don't know. and that in the picture was that the Range Rover. And I believe there was another guy, I can't even remember his name, aliandika akasema that it's better off-road than the Land Cruiser. So I believe that the discussion started very clear and very focused. Folks started talking about the Range Rover and versus the Land Cruiser and the off-road capability. But I think down the line, your conversation ilienda ikatupambao. Everybody started bringing in their own, luxury, reliability, whatnot, all that. But I think the conversation was off-road capability. My opinion, I think that the Range Rover is very capable. I'm not team Range Rover, to be honest, but I think it's a very capable car. And I believe that those folks took their time to think about what off-road comprises, and they put in a lot of technology into the car that inaweza tumika off-road. I think the other now that brings in the other question, reliability. Like you said, MPG, I can't picture myself getting into a Range Rover and saying that nataka kwenda sijui safari wapi. I really don't feel comfortable and I really don't trust that car. Itanipeleka inirudishe than park it at home. On the other hand, I think I feel better and I'm interested in actually. I feel better in a Land Cruiser. Itanitoa hapa na inipeleke mali a little bit rough na there's hope in kurudi na kesho nitaiosha hiyo gari na niende kwa ofisi. You know what I mean?
Land Rover jitetee.
Ground Simba. Bethe Ground Simba ni Land Rover ama Range Rover ama ni yote mbili?
Kama Land Rover, mkoa ya Land Rover.
Mimi wacha nijitetee. 110 1130. That is the farthest I will go, and it is a Land Rover. Nimekuwa tu nikisikiza conversations why we are fighting Range Rover. Unajua kuna kitu ndangwa driver error. The car is not shit. Maybe your driving skills are shit. There could be that part. So endelea kumaliza. I'm in the middle of something. Nasikiza tu bado I'll be back. Just give me a minute.
Ground Simba, yes. Does it mean drivers when you endesha Range Rover wako na kasoro ama?
By the way, I did
how come more of them are tending towards the Range Rover than Land Cruiser?
No, what? Simba, just give me a minute. Hapana, I'll be back. Just give me a minute. Acha nimalizie hapa.
Ameendea soldiers. Anyway,
Ameendea mwa Kenya.
I think there's a point alikuwa
wako na Land Cruiser hawana kakitu.
And still I can put both the same driver. And there's a video ilikuwa imeshariwa kwa hiyo thread yote. Same driver, kila kitu, yes. One capable than the other. And it goes back to something else I said. I think that the Range Rover is very well equipped to handle terrain. The bigger conversation now becomes reliability. And it goes back to that thing Nani MPG umesema. Can I trust the Range Rover to take me from here to I don't know where end of the world? I don't think so. On the other hand, I think the Land Cruiser can do better.
If I could say something, if we look at issue-based things, like for example, if you're to repurpose or modify the vehicle, it's easier to modify a Toyota than it is to modify a Range Rover, because one, the wiring for a Range Rover is extremely sensitive. Those cars are also very dust and water sensitive. So dust enters the wrong places or water enters the wrong places, you're in for proper beating. Land Cruisers, let's say, for example, you go off-road. You're in the middle of, let's say you've done a drive to Marsabit, you've gone into the Chalbi Desert. you have to fuel there. The fuel that you're going to buy from there, chances is coming in from jerry cans. Those jerry cans are old, and because of the heat, they tend to form a bit of water at the top. We know that that story normally goes. Can the nozzles of a Range Rover handle dirty fuel? Can the nozzles of a Range Rover handle, let's say, fuel that has water? You can even say that maybe I'll add, let's say, a water separator. But look at, for example, the common Land Cruiser, the 79 series that you find in many of these places. It's more or less bulletproof. You will put in adulterated fuel, you'll put in what, but this Toyota will keep on driving. The computer from the Range Rover will disable everything and make the car conk out. If that air suspension, for example, decides, I am not rising today, it will not rise, and there's no way you're going to drive that vehicle. The vehicle will remain there. So, again, the Toyota will always look like a better off-roader than the Range Rover. If you look at, for example, you're going to cross a river, chances are the person who's driving the Range Rover will think twice about it, especially if it is deep water. If you look at what the Australians do, you not see very many of them using Range Rovers. And if they're using a Range Rover, it's a very old Land Rover, the 110, 200 TDI.
Solo, what did Nash did the same thing you are saying, and the engine is still working.
Yes, but remember, Nash gari yake at 254, what do you call it? 4x4 challenge, conked out.
The P38.
It conked out. Yes, the P38 conked out. What happened? 80 series ilipita, Jeep petrol ilipita. So again, people come back to saying driver error. So again, the loosest nut in any vehicle is one behind the steering. If the person who is behind the wheel cannot handle the car right or doesn't know how to treat the car on certain roads, you see, the beauty of a Toyota is, or most cars, let me say, is if the car breaks down on the road, the driver has an idea of what to do because you know what the issue is. So trying to find the fault in a Toyota is much easier than, for example, a Range Rover, especially when you're off-road. You cannot start pulling out a computer to start looking at the problems that you have. Most Toyotas, it is very simple. What happened? It cut out fuel. First place you go to the diesel pump. Look at what the problem is. You pumping manually, look through the hoses, the lines and everything, because you can literally open up the nozzles, start the car, remove whatever air was there, funga, and car continues to move. Range Rover now becomes an issue. My parting shot for now would be, if you look at the number of times flatbed is carrying a vehicle, 9 out of 10 would be a Range Rover, while 1 out of 10 is a Land Cruiser. Kwa hayo machache, on to the next speaker.
Allow me to interject at that point, please. Mimi nafikiria hii discussion hata imeisha. From the conversation ianze ya Range Rover na Land Cruiser, nimesikia all the capabilities of a Land Cruiser, na vitu zingine nasikia za Range Rover ni inadequacies na another additional feature of being extra careful. So sijui exactly ninaona we lay this discussion to rest, na mtu anaweza chukua the next Land Cruiser tukienda masafa.
So I'd also like to weigh in on the same. So another thing that's inasumbua Land Rover is tech savvy. Like I say, they're really quick on their brains, and every the Land Rover group has been bankrupt, which means it has changed hands. Imetoka Tata, ikenda Leyland, ikenda Ford, ikenda BMW, and things like that. When that happens, a lot of companies wanachukua the tech, our invest in that. So unaweza pata Land Rover has really good engineers and has a good idea. BMW buys you anakuambia, well, msifanye hii tuna save costs, let's remove that, let's do it cheaply. That's how actually BMW 4x4 ilitoka from Land Rover. They stole all the tech. The tech in X5 ilitoka kwa Land Rover and things like that. The other, so I think when you're going off-road, just like Sola said, bare bones is the best. Hata Saruni amesema it's a tool, ni ka pliers. For Land Cruiser, kaa yangu ikikata kuwaka, inje inapitisha moto, yes. Nozzles zinapata mafuta, yes. Nikiona 17 na 13, I can check why my car is not starting. Starter ikikata, I just gonga it with ile wheel spanner, alafu ina peak itarudisha Nairobi. However, when it comes to Range Rovers, the tech is so much, which is a good thing and a bad thing equal measure, because a suspension ikifail, the module body control module BCU, when the suspension fails, the BCU inaona kwamba the suspension has failed, it needs to be checked. The BCU is connected to to how your suspension works. The suspension is connected to your speed sensor. The speed sensor is connected to your throttle. So with all these interconnection, when one part fails, that's why other things now start to fail. However, people have tried to get away around it. Najua wasenye wametoa the suspension wanatumia coil suspension and it goes all the way. Or what one override the whole system and use it to a standalone ECU. So you put an ECU in case of a fault, na reset your body control kuambia si shida kubwa wetu endelee, and people are enjoying their Range Rovers. However, for you in your Range Rover, you have to go an extra mile to protect your car and things like that. And Kenya being in the tropics, you're in a third world country, fuel is an issue, roads is an issue, and things like that. And I say this again, that car is stupidly capable. Nile, with the capability, it's their major undoing. Ukiangalia the construction of say Land Cruiser 79 Amata 100 series, it's just this engine, gearbox, transfer, and the diffs. That's it. Ukiangalia how the engine is placed, unaweza pata it has, I think, 4 sensors. One for your turbo, which is your boost sensor. One for your oil pressure. One to the injector, which is just a 12-volt signal. Alafu, of course, the other small issues come at temperature, starter, and whatnot. Just say it better. Like early 79 series up until 2015 as if on a comp. It was a fully mechanical engine. The comp couldn't control anything. Not a comp zenye ziko kwa 79 series as hii controlling injection from I think 2700 cc, 2700 rpm. So it means from 0 to 2700 rpm, that engine is fully mechanical. So that's another thing to note. And also remember, because of changing of ownership of Land Rovers, the pedigree sort of got lost, because from Series 1, Series 2, Series 3, Land Rover Discovery 1, the ones that did Camel Trophy, if you actually go to YouTube, alafu angalia Camel Trophy, these guys will do 2,000 kilometers. They build their own bridges, wanaingia ndani ya maji, they just had snorkels, and these were production vehicles with roll cage peke yake. Hakukuwa na tune, hakukuwa na sijui engine, sijui inakaaje. These were 100% production engines with just strengthened suspension and a roll cage just keep them safe. Everything else was full torque. But when it started to change hands, your pedigree ilipotea. Land Cruiser has been in Toyota's hands for the longest time. In Toyota's hands, I think for 78 years. So with that, they kept on improving pole. If your engine is made by BMW leo, kesho na Ford, kesho na mtu mwingine, it's so hard for people to keep up. And that even now, hata Miller sahi, when he's talking of Land Rover, I'm sure he's talking about the older Land Rovers, up to until one, when it was, I think it was being owned by Tata, or just when it was just owned by BMW. But these newer ones, because the Puma edition, that was owned by Ford, it's a, I think 0.4, it's a fast car, it's a good engine and things like, but that turbo is so shit. Hiyo turbo ikichapa, I think one goes for around 180k. That engine goes for around 220. Turbo kiangalia inatoshana na hotpot, engine inatoshana na basin, and they're the same price. Unaona, so this is now where the problem comes in. But the old Land Rovers, we are talking about the TD3 200, the Series 2s, the Series 3s. This was stupidly capable engines, and it was a pedigree. Actually, I think I have a Series 3. Fungua that car, you only need an 11, a 13, a 17 for the gearbox. I think it needs like 4 tools and a pliers and a star, and that's it. You'd open the car. Without what a chassis with tupe. You see, so that's another thing to note. But once the pedigree goes, the whole maintenance goes. Kila kampuni inakuja na own sort of ways of doing things. Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tabo. We have Johnson. Johnson, what's your input on the same LC versus Land Rover? Johnson.
Yeah, actually, I have kept away from this conversation for one reason. I am not driving any of those cars, and I think the terrain here doesn't call for any of those cars. They are there. Yeah, we even had one last week that got sold. So yeah, I'm not using them, and the guys who are using them, I have seen since the whole weekend. You guys were bantering each other. I think you have more information than I do on this LC and Range Rover Land Rover thing. Ile kitu najua zile landi za zamani zilikuwa fiti, lakini sasa hizi, of course, because of technology, najua kuna yenye itaenda msituni na itarudi, but I don't want to get into it. And I mentioned my reasons. I have not used both cars, so I think it will be unfair if I start joining the conversation or supporting either side, and I don't know really what I'm talking about. Mi niulize stories za VW na Toyota, hizi zingine nitakwambia.
Skoda inaweza enda off-road.
Labda.
Yeah, we have them actually. We have tuko na Skoda gani SUV? Tuko na Scout, which is Octavia Scout. Octavia Scout ni wagon lakini iko na ground clearance kama ya Outback. Na iko very capable.
Really? Outback clearance yake ni kidogo sana, ifikie ya LC.
Of course, si nimekwambia ni wagon, sio size ya LC, sio size ya LC, but
nilidhani ni wagon kama Mercedes. Unajua Mercedes pia kuna wagon.
Sio ni wagon. I'm talking about station wagon.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Johnson. Heri wewe, at least plead the fifth. Tumesema utaki kuingilia juu uja experience either of the same. Yeah, so that's quite you played safe hapo. As we continue, ladies in the space, tafadhalini itisheni mic. Want to hear also your side of the story. Ama nyinyi mnabebaga tu na Range Rover huko na mjui mashida zake. Unakaa tu pale kwa the driver passenger seat. Anyway, ladies, request for the mic. Want to hear your side of the story. We have Kina Victoria pale, Nandi Flame. We have who's else is here? Yeah, the ladies in the space, we have Magari. Yeah, Esna, kisha mic. Najua tu umebebwa na Range. Kuja tuambie what's the experience. Umeona jamaa wako akipeleka garage mara mingi au nini? What's up? Yeah, so for Pete's sake, I see you're back with us, but before you go, we have Bio.
Yes, let me also just weigh in. It's been a very interesting discussion, and I think my sentiments, I think I totally agree with what Turbo Diesel said about the two vehicles. They're both capable, and from a personal experience, I think I traversed Tanzania using the Defender, and there's an organization that I was working with. We had like about 21 fleets. 9 were the Defenders, and the rest were the Land Cruisers. So you'd find that the operation cost for Defenders, they were so high compared to the Land Cruisers. For example, an average engine, total Land Cruiser engine, would do about 250,000 kilometers without any major component change. While you couldn't say the same for the Land Rover. So I believe the Japanese, they perfected their tools, and I believe that's why the Land Cruiser is out here doing so well. And a good example you can see is how Toyota, how they totally captured the Kenyan market. Initially, I think it was predominantly Nissan which dominated the roads, The last Nissan that dominated the Kenyan roads was the Nissan B12, if I'm not wrong. And from the Nissan B12, the Corollas just took over, and that was it. It was because of their innovative ways. They used to come up with a lot of innovation, and the Toyota, they stuck with what was known by everybody, and they just tweaked it and made it better. So I believe that's why the Toyota Land Cruiser has an edge over the Land Rover. And again, somebody I think mentioned something to do with the NGO world also. If you go even into mining, you'll never find even a single Land Rover. For example, there's a province in Tanzania called Geita. If you go there, utadhania ni ng'ombe. Hizo ma Land Cruisers ziko nyingi sana. You won't even see a single Land Rover. Land Rover was mainly left to it was just reserved for the police because it was they were being donated, but the government buys Land Cruisers. So I believe it all depends with what you want. The Land Rover is very capable, and at some point it was light years ahead of the Land Cruiser. But I believe you just pick what works for you, because you can't go for what I mean. Generally, what is generally acceptable is not acceptable to everybody. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Yeah, that's those are my thoughts. I'm sort of split between the two, because I've enjoyed driving the Land Cruiser more, but I also miss the Land Rover experience. Land Rover is also very awesome, especially the Defenders, very capable.
Thank you so much for the.
Yes.
Ziko wapi hizo magari? Where are those Land Rovers?
Ziko.
Tunazitaka. Hakuna magari huku by the way. Hakuna hizo Land Rover by the way. Tunatafuta sana. Kama unajua by the way. Yeah. I'm in search of like two.
Yeah, if you can go to Tanzania they sell them very cheaply. You can go for maybe an equivalent of let's say a KBA. You might even spend, I think, around 600-700 Gs. You'll get a very good one in Tanzania.
Alafu endesha na number plates za Tanzania.
Sorry?
Endesha na number plates za Tanzania.
Yeah, we know how that works, but we've seen guys who buy like written off vehicles in Kenya. You go to Tanzania, get a better machine, unakuja unabadilisha vitu apart from maybe the chassis number, the engine number, but the rest unabadilisha everything.
If that works,
awesome.
Yeah, I think I've seen guys doing it. I saw another guy who swapped his Premium Nyoka. He had like written off Premium Nyoka. I think he got it in Nakuru, and he actually, it was just lifted all the way near the border, and he went with a team of mechanics. Wakabadilisha vitu, the grey imports, gari inakuja ka imepotea, awaweki hizo identity kwa magari, then wana swap, unarudi na gari yako mpya. I've seen it work.
Well, okay. We look more into that. Kama umesema LR Gronsima inaweza pata na Sosita, I think you're going to Tanzania next. Marvin, go for it.
Okay, well, mi nimependa hii discussion one because the banters ziko on point vibaya sana, but to me the surest litmus ya car acceptance in whichever capacity is people. Kama watu wamekubali gari, wameikubali because hiyo ni gari yenye ina serve their own reasons and purpose. So we can keep explaining how capable the Range Rover is, but is it accepted? you don't have to explain how acceptable the Land Cruiser is. Just look around. You'll see from the government to non-government institution to people who love traveling. It's all round. But if you want a head turner and a statement piece ya kushow off, kama unataka kwenda matembezi, then of course you'd be going for the Range Rover. And I'm not speaking from the experience of ownership, but there's no way I'm pleading the fifth here because, I have tasted an experience in both cars. So, but sijaenda off-road. But with the documented items across and around, without even so much struggle, you clearly can tell the Land Cruiser has won the hearts of many. And that's it. Yeah.
Has it won your heart, Tesla?
Huyo hapana.
Nani huyo ananifukuza shwali? Hata sijaongea.
That heart was won.
Karibu. Thank you. Pole, I was struggling a little bit with my connection. No, not connection. My phone. But I'm here. Mi niko tu na swali moja for Alex. Alex ako hapa bado?
Yeah, yuko. I think namuona pale. Alex,
Niko.
Okay. Alex mentioned that the Range Rover is stupidly capable, and then went along to say that that capability is from the tech, not necessarily the mechanics. But my question is, does capability always have to be about tech? I mean, that is where we are moving to. But it must, because tech is bound to break down, and while you cannot be capable while you're broken down, so that's my first question before I say any other thing about this Land Rover. Watu wa Land Rover wako hata wameitwa hapa Range Rover na Land Cruiser.
Yeah, I think I can answer that just before I give Alasiri the mic. So, one end, humans to limited by emotions, movements. Humans are inefficient, right? Unaweza kuona panda milima uone seme mapaja, then you get. But now, a Range Rover would come na kitu inaitwa kama hill ascent control. You just press a button, achilia kila kitu. It will figure out how much power you need to go up. Like, cause wewe unaweza kuwa unaenda kusleep una gas, like unaipa after mob and things like that, which is wrong. However, take it ajua hii milima 40 degrees, I need this amount of power, ile mguu iko na 40% power and things like that. So because of inefficiencies of man or of human, that's why everything is going to take. In theory, any automatic shifts faster than any manual, right? Ndio maana kina Mbura wanaingia ma DSG, because kitambo utafute clutch nini hiyo ni losses, that's inefficient, things like that. So with us proceeding towards tech, people who are overdoing it. So in engineering tunasemanga simple design is good design, and I think that's what Toyota live by that notion. However, at the same time, because of the simple design, it's very inefficient. An LC200 does 5-6 kilometers to the liter. Kienda maybe 7. The V8s, if I'm not wrong, someone can correct me on this, unless I niliendesha ilikuwa mbaya. Because unaona inaandika kama 20 kilometers for every 100, 20 liters for every 100 kilometers. However, all these Range Rovers you see, unless imechapa, they do 11 kilometers to the liter. Like unaona hizi ranges zinakunywa almost kama fielder, almost you get where I'm going, because the tech is so good. The tech is going towards efficiency. Everyone is complaining mafuta inaisha and things like that. So the tech is assisting one efficiency, kujua jamaa anapanda milima this speed, nikipunguza power this speed, atafika Nairobi at 10 kilometers to the liter and things like that. This tech is purely just to assist in